Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for taking the time out of your day to attend this webinar. My name is Jarrah, and I'll be your moderator for today. The way people buy has changed a lot. In the last 5 months especially, the move to digital commerce has accelerated. It's more important than ever that you get your website fighting fit, especially with the variable alert levels, as it gives you the chance to continue to operate more effectively in all conditions. So today's topic is incredibly important in this regard. Elements your website needs to be successful. It is a pleasure to have one of our top minds speaking on the subject, digital business strategist Tom Griffith. Having a sneak peek at today's webinar presentation, I can tell you that you're in for an absolute treat. Bit of housekeeping before we get started. We will be recording this webinar, so if you miss any part of it, you will be able to view this on our YouTube channel later on today or in our webinar library at zeal.com. If at any point you feel like you've got some questions, feel free to post those to us. Please do that through the Q&A module, which if you can see my cursor is just highlighted here. If you can't hear anything, which has just popped up, then the audio settings are just down here. So hopefully you can see my cursor to see where I'm pointing. Otherwise, enjoy the session. I would like to invite Tom to take over now and take you through what he's got for us today. Really looking forward to it. Welcome, Tom. Oh, I can't hear you, mate. You'll probably need to turn on your mic.
Yep, there you go. Can you see my screen there, Jarrah?
Perfect.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for the invite to come and talk again today. Thank you everyone for attending wherever you are and what you're doing, that you've given your time to join us here today. As Jarrah said in his opening, this is incredibly important. And a lot of the things that we're talking about here today are covered off in our digital strategy session that we talk through with people. So a lot of the times we find that these sort of elements are lacking in some regard as we work through those digital strategy sessions. So hopefully today you'll be able to get a lot out of this and perhaps take away a lot and apply it to your website and where it may be, so that with changes that you may want to make, you end up with an overall better outcome, so that, as Jarrah said, we're able to pivot, generate leads and sales a lot better in this sort of day and age. So when we're looking at the elements that a website need, the first thing that we're looking at is the hero image. And this is sort of the topic of what we're going to be covering today. All of these things are vitally important. Hero image, you've got your design, the overall design, I'm meaning there. Benefit-based headlines, if you don't know what that means or are not that sure, we'll go into that obviously. Your calls to action, trust and credibility builders, conversion pathways, filtering, lead magnets, retargeting, after sales, and after lead follow-up. These things are vitally important and things that will become apparent to you as we move through, I hope. So here we are. The first one that we need is a hero image. And this is the first image that someone is met with when they land on your website. It's the image that dominates the area, the screen, when someone lands. And it's used really to set the tone or the experience that people have when they land. And people decide really quickly whether or not they're going to stay on your website or whether to move on. And I've heard it bandied around that you've got roughly 3 seconds to engage someone. And because people buy with their eyes, which is how we all sort of engage initially, this is one of those areas that's vitally important. So this is really the first checkbox of engagement in the visitor's mind, what they see. Ideally, this needs to be an image that is appealing to the compelling need behind the reason why someone's coming to your website. Now, what I mean by this is, imagine if you are someone who is selling pizzas. You own a pizza parlor and you have a website and you're selling your pizzas online so people can come and pick up. You're probably all familiar with Domino's and the Domino Pizza either app or website. Now, if I'm immediately hit with a video of a freshly baked pizza steaming and it's sliced and the slice is being lifted up and cheese is dripping from the slice, if you're seeing this as you land, you're going to start salivating. And
you're making me hungry already, mate. This is not...
I know, it's cruel, right? Hopefully you've had lunch, but if you haven't, you just have to wait about another half hour.
Okay, cool.
So, the motivation though, isn't it? The point there is that the motivation to purchase one of these pizzas increases. and that's what we need to show. That's what we need to do here in this hero image, is motivate people to appeal to that compelling need. And so alternatively, if we want to see the flip side, if we were in our pizza parlor to show our friendly delivery staff, or the building, or the box the pizza comes in, whilst this may be welcoming, it may be appropriate sort of images, it doesn't have that same sort of impact, and it doesn't create that same motivation and therefore compelling need, and it doesn't create or add a perceived value as that image I sort of, or video, if you will, would do if that was on the page. So that first hero image is really important. The next thing that we need to look at here is design. And what we're really talking about here in terms of design is the overall design of the website. It incorporates all of the elements we're talking about and a little bit more. And it's important to understand the way in which a page is structured, because the way in which we structure, especially a homepage, it affects the engagement rate and the overall conversion rate of the website. Just move that down a bit. And surprisingly, when I tell people this, people don't perhaps know that people read a website in an F formation or F format. They come up, they go across the top line nav, they come back down, and they go through an area, but halfway through that hero image, and then down and further. And so it's critical, especially on a desktop computer, to have our positioning messages, our key messages, our action points, our top line nav, all these really vital elements in the eye line where someone's reading this website. Otherwise, if it's out of the way, if it's out of place, if it's not where someone expects it to be, then of course, the outcome is going to be less. People have to start finding things rather than being shown. And so that comes down to the overall experience that people have with the website. Having a great structure or design, it does improve trust and credibility, and people see you as a lot more of a viable business in terms of how you're positioned with your competitors. Remembering that that's what all this is about, is getting the work over the other guy. So the main way a site is structured, from the top line nav to the placement of the benefit-based headlines, the call or calls to action, it needs to be caught, like I said, in the eye line of the reader, and support the buying process throughout. Those elements that support the buying process need to be positioned in the appropriate place, because we all go through a buying process. It doesn't matter what we're buying, and we've used the analogy before, it could be a car or a coffee. The process, the thought process that we go through is roughly the same. It's just a little longer if I was buying a car compared to buying a coffee. So that's really, really important. Of course, the most important thing here is that the design needs to make the website simple and easy to use. We have to be able to have it so that people can understand what the business offering is really easily, really quickly. If they have to, I guess, apply a little bit of brain power to, well, what are you actually providing here? Does this fit my needs? Then we're going to start losing them. We need them to be able to get into what we call a conversion pathway or buying funnel a lot quicker than that, and make it easy for people to do business with us. And I'll explain a little bit more about that further. And lastly, on design, the design should be logical and clean. It should provide sound navigation, and it should provide navigation to required areas that are needed to convert your website visitor into a client or a customer. Hope that makes sense there.
So by clean, Tom, do you mean like not? I suppose the other opposite would be cluttered, right? So there's maybe too much on there, so people don't know what step to take next. Would that be fair?
Yeah, absolutely. When things become sort of convoluted in terms of design, again, it comes down to that structure, things being in the wrong place, place where you wouldn't expect, too much, trying to say too much, a lot of the time really clutters things up. And it's all about just that cleanliness of the website homepage, so that we can provide for them almost an executive summary of the executive summary, really distill that down. What is it that we are trying to tell them? And this is actually a really good roll into the next point here of benefit-based headlines, because this is literally the distilling down of why someone should do business with you. We want to tell people that there are benefits in what you have. And we want to be able to show that to them really quickly. Again, positioned in the eye line, positioned in a place where when someone lands, it's almost one of the first things that pops out to them and says, these guys have what I need. And if we can do that, then we're going to go a long way to really driving engagement. So a benefit-based headline is exactly what it says. It's a headline that shows the benefits to the customer or the client in doing business with you. A lot of the time, one of the, I guess, the things I see a lot is people like to talk about themselves. So these, what we'd call headlines, talk more about the business rather than what you can do for the customer. So we need to turn that around and think, what is in it for them? What is in it for the customer? Because they're thinking, what's in it for me? And so when we are looking at these, developing these headlines, we need to make sure it is customer-centric. Business-centric headlines are far less effective. I've seen a lot that say things like, welcome to my website, or we sell trucks and vans. Well, that's okay and it's welcoming. However, it doesn't add as much value as perhaps if we turn around, say that last one of we sell trucks and vans, if we're to add in some benefits there. If indeed we said something like, we sell quality modern trucks and vans, all of a sudden we have a benefit of why someone should come through. Well, there's quality there, and these vans are modern. That's what I'm after, if indeed that was appropriate. And so if we have a look at, oops, I'm going to bring my points down on the page. There we go. So if we have a look here at the example I have over here, if you can see my mouse on the screen here, it says, escape the stress of daily life, relax and rejuvenate yourself in the heart of Mount Albert. And this is a website that we've done, and you can see there's quite a few benefits packed into a short sort of pithy statement. It says, escape stress. Well, that's pretty good. I want to do that. Relax, absolutely. Rejuvenate, yep, I need some rejuvenation. And you know where it is, it's in Mount Albert. So here you've got depending on your location, 4 benefits of why you should keep looking. Because all these things are what you want. You've come to the website based around a keyword search. There's intent behind that search. You want to find someone who can help you come out of a session with a beautician feeling relaxed, stressless, and rejuvenated. And probably want to go home and have a bit of a lie down for a while and sleep off that nice relaxed feeling. That's usually how it is. So being client-centric or customer-centric, it drives engagement. It adds perceived value, and it creates a greater desire to look further into your website. And that's what we need people to do, is drill deeper. Yeah, so that's a little bit there on benefit-based headlines. So the next thing is a call or calls to action. Now this is really vital, and one of those areas where I've seen calls or a call to action right at the really bottom of a website page, homepage. I've seen them on interior pages, but not on the homepage. And all those things are, and if that applies to you, things that can be corrected pretty much straight away if you have access to do those things and the know-how. So a call to action should be the most prominent and eye-catching element of the homepage, as you can see in my little example there where it's bright orange. You can't miss it. We practice what we preach. That's part of the Zealed website. And best practice is to have this positioned on the hero image or the video in the eye line of user. And if you remember my F formation example, it should be really about halfway across on the F side or somewhere like that. As you can see on this side here, it's at what would be the extent of that F formation. So the call to action really should be a command. It should tell the user what you want them to do. i.e., for instance, it should be shop now, a command, book a free consultation. And people might go, well, I don't want to be pushy. Well, it's not being pushy. I mean, people want to know what you want them to do. And that being able to do that is going to drive that lower level engagement. And another point here is that it should be an action, such as shop now, if you have an e-commerce shop, that supports the overall business goal. That's another sort of major that we see, is that if there is a call to action, sometimes it's misaligned with what the overall goal of the business is. So if we, for instance, have a dentistry practice, you may want people to book now as another command, or if you offer a professional service, you may want to get people to book a consultation. Yeah, so another important thing that we need to do is give people a reason to respond. People respond better when there's, again, something in it for them. So we need to lower the barrier to conversion. I mean, when someone's booking in a professional service, they may think, well, if I book a consultation, it's going to cost me. So how about if we just add in one little word, free, book a free consultation. Yes, that consultation, that 15 minutes, half hour, 45 minutes, whatever it may be, is free. People will then understand that after that period, there becomes a chargeable time if you charge on a time and materials basis. So we all like free stuff. It will help lower that barrier to conversion. People will feel there's far less risk to, put a toe in the water, test the waters, and see if you are indeed the fit for them as they are thinking that you are. So where possible, give people a reason to respond. And you see Netflix do this really well when they say, join free for a month. And so Netflix there, lower that barrier, you can cancel any time, and off they go, not wanting to be an infomercial for Netflix, of course. But yeah, hopefully you get the idea of lowering that barrier to conversion there. So a bit of an expert tip for you. After this webinar, go to your website, close your eyes first as it loads, and then look to see what is the most prominent element on your homepage. If that is the call to action, then I think we're on the money. If it's not, then we need to just do a little bit more work on making sure that we can tell people what you want them to do. And as I say there, make those changes.
That's a phenomenal tip. Thanks, Tom. Yeah, I've seen some really big impacts on a website just by changing that button, just making it stand out a little bit more, changing the color on it, changing its position so that it's the most obvious thing on the page. It sounds really simple, but the actual impact of getting that right can't be understated.
Yeah, it's so often overlooked as well. Yeah. So the next thing we need to think about is trust and credibility builders. What do I mean by that? Well, it can be sometimes hard to convince people to part with their money or inquire about a service if they don't really trust you. In fact, I would say that it's not impossible. So we want to get them to trust us at least to a baseline level. So we need to add in these trust and credibility builders on the website homepage. So first up, we need to be seen as a reputable business. So you've got small little points such as having an SSL certificate. And if you aren't familiar with what an SSL certificate is, it would be worthwhile going to our website, our webinar where we talk about SSL certificates. Essentially, it's the padlock and next to your URL or your website address, it'll show a locked symbol, or if it's unsecure, it'll be open and it'll have a warning there. So you can tell very easily if you have one. Little things like that though, just all add to trust and credibility. Having a professional and tidy layout, as I've said, adds to credibility and building trust. What we need to do though is tell people, why they should trust you and give them that information. It could be things like, how long have you been in business? What is your physical location? Do you have a physical location? Contact numbers, phone numbers. couple of years ago, I went and bought some camera equipment off a website, and it was a significant amount of money. When I looked a bit deeper after, which I should have done first, it's all my own fault, I found that the numbers weren't New Zealand numbers like the URLs are .co.nz. It was in fact an American number. I started to panic because of that. So these contact numbers are incredibly important to make sure that they're there for a start, that people can get hold of you, and that you're seen as a reputable business. As it turned out, it wasn't a scam. I got my equipment and all is good. Having a sound about us page with a company history, team profiles, and other background information that's pertinent to building trust should be included, because a lot of the time when people are buying a service, they're buying into your people, who you are and your experience. So we need to tell them enough there for them to be able to develop that trust. Testimonials are vital. Especially independent reviews, such as a Google review, they seem to have a lot of weight. Case studies are very important if appropriate. Elements that add value, such as resources, perhaps that you will give away, that we'll just see that people are able to take you seriously, that you have a lot to offer, not just a little bit. And elements that state why people should do business with you, or what makes it easy or cost effective to do business with you, should be highlighted on the homepage. So while employing some of these elements where appropriate on the website, these will assist in ensuring that you develop enough trust and credibility for the person to want to reach out to you. Especially in the case of perhaps an e-commerce store, it may develop enough for them to test the waters and buy a product from you, see how it goes. Hopefully they'll do a lot more than that. Come back next time. Here's another expert tip for you. How well are you doing on the trust and credibility front? How professional is your website layout and design? Do you have an SSL certificate? And still, there are websites out there, even though this has been around for, I don't know what it would be, about nearly 3 years now, 2.5 years. So many websites don't have an SSL certificate. Is your About Us page sufficient? Do people know at a glance that it's easy to do business with you? What are your testimonials like, if indeed that's appropriate for your website? If you're not convinced, how will your potential clients be? So there's another thing to just go through, have a look at and test.
I like to look at the trust and credibility thing as a correlation with how you would operate in a retail environment. If someone walks into your shop, you make eye contact, you smile, you greet them, you build trust through those kind of traditional methods. On a website, you don't have the ability to do any of those. And so looking at some of these elements Tom's talked about are critical for that kind of proxy online.
That's so true. That's a really good way of looking at it. Thanks, Jara. So the next thing we need to look at is a conversion pathway. And people think a website's just there to perhaps showcase some stuff and tell people a bit about your business and move on. We want people to walk through a buying frame of mind. A website should have an end goal, and that end goal should be a conversion point. That is, someone to either buy something or get in touch with you so that you can do business with them. If that goal isn't there, then the website by and large is not going to make you any money. So like I say, a conversion pathway or path to purchase is exactly that. It's the steps a user will take in order to be able to perhaps find the product or the information on the service that you guys provide, so that they can then make a decision, be it reaching out for more information or purchasing a product online. Now, as you do, people do business with people who make life easy for them. So if you want lots of leads or sales, it's quite a simple tip here. Simplify this process. If we look at an e-commerce website as a typical sort of strategy, a well-organized top-line navigation, that is your your navigation right at the very top of the page is essential, as well as I've said, a strong call to action, such as buy now being a command. Then a really good layout of the most popular categories a bit further down the page helps people get into the right area of their interest. From there, they can basically bring up the products that they want, perhaps shortlist them in a favorites area, or they can add something to cart, perhaps from a category page, or even from the product page, obviously. And lastly, in terms of conversion pathways, it's really important that it's simple to check out, and especially on mobile. Being able to check out on mobile and add in details on a mobile device, getting through that process is really, really important. And of course, making sure that things like freight won't kill the deal is very important.
We've just got a question through from James, but I just wanted to let him know we'll hold it till the end because we're running just a little bit short on time. So we'll just get through the next few slides and answer that question along with the others during a question section. But I just wanted to acknowledge that for James. Sorry for the interruption, Tom.
Great, not a problem. And we're cracking on through, so not far till the end. Hopefully you guys are finding it of benefit. So in order to aid the conversion process, websites that have many products, talking more about obviously e-commerce here, we really need to be able to allow people to find what they want really quickly. We need to, in essence, shortcut through the many, many options that you have to the specific products that they want. The three main types of filtering: simple filtering, which is things like color and size; unique filtering, which is more about unique attributes of the product that people may need to narrow down to, such as wheel diameter, load capacity, or brand, or height, width, length, those sort of things that people need to zip something down so that they can find it for a specific job. And then finally, there's another one called tagging, which, as it sounds, you provide a tag or add a tag to a particular product, a label you may say, so that people can find things by that tagging attribute. And that's quite flexible. Being able to allow people to find what they want quickly, add it to cart, will aid your conversion process, as we sort of talked about before. So, expert tip for you: what's your conversion pathway like? Ask a friend to find a specific product on your website, or find a specific piece of information. If it takes more than 4 clicks, you may have an issue. So that's where I would, if you're thinking that you're having issues with your website in terms of what I'm saying here, it would be well worth you reaching out to us. We have a free digital strategy session that we offer. I would really implore you to reach out to us. We may be able to help you there. Lead magnets. So maybe you don't have an e-commerce store, you've got more of a lead generation site. Well, how can you make it so that someone wants to reach out to you? This is where a lead magnet is something where you've got a piece of information that's sort of free gold, if you will. It's of enough value that someone's going to leave their name and their email in so that you can send this to them. Now, of course, what you're doing is you're plonking their name and their email into a database. You have now their details. You know that this person is interested in your service. And so you're able then to start to market these people and get them into a nurturing process, so that in time, especially if the conversion pathway or the buying process, I should say, is a bit longer, you can bring them in when they're ready to make that final decision to buy. So this usually takes the form of, say, a downloadable ebook. If you go to our website and look at our resources, you'll see that we have quite a few ebooks there. And if you were to download that, for that information, we'll ask for your email. And then a bit later on, some friendly person may give you a call. And so this is a way in which we, again, practice what we preach, but it's a way of generating qualified leads and getting them into this nurturing funnel. Yeah, so that's a lead magnet. Again, if you want more information on that, we can help you there. Oops, I didn't bring those in, but there we go. It's exactly what I said.
And the free trial that Netflix offers is kind of like a lead magnet as well, except it
Oh
gets
yeah,
more details than just the basics. It gets your credit card as well.
yeah, it does
Yeah.
indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very good at that sort of thing. Here's one that a lot of people go, oh, what's this? A lot of websites don't do this, and this is probably one of the, if there's a takeaway, please circle this one today, retargeting. Many websites, and I've seen websites that attract thousands of visitors a month, and they don't try and bring back these new visitors a second time. And to me, that's missing a massive opportunity. If someone comes to your website, that means that there is an intent behind that that inquiry or that visit. They perhaps want to purchase or inquire into what you have. So the fact that they leave doesn't mean that they're not interested. It may be that they're just checking out the competition, which is obviously not what we want them to do. So let's be a little bit more savvy about that. We want to bring them back with either something like dynamic Facebook retargeting or display retargeting. If there's an event that we can trigger, we may be able to get some autoresponders going in terms of email messaging out to them if there's a trigger that can trigger that sort of event. But we just want to put a message and your brand in front of them again and call them to come back to either purchase or obviously inquire about your product or service. So every website, in my mind, should run a retargeting campaign. And here's something to note. All successful websites do this.
Mm-hmm.
And lastly, but by no means least, and just quickly because we're out of time, there should be some form of after sales or after lead follow-up. It's much easier to retain an existing customer and actually a lot less costly to retain an existing customer than to go out and attract a new one all the time. So ensure that your website has some form of after sales or after lead follow-up. This is vital. Now this may take the form of ensuring that there's a product delivery update process, that this person is sent after sales specials, or that they're, like I say, put into some sort of database and followed up or retargeted again to bring them back to check out more products that you have. Follow-up information and after product sales and services advice, that sort of information should be sent out to people so that they feel welcome to the family of your business or your industry, so that again they think, well, these guys actually care about me and care about what I have bought, and they want it to work well for me. I think I'll buy from them again. So that's the last point for today.
I love that product delivery and updates thing. Just if I'm getting updates as my package is on its way here, if I bought something online, it's a great experience. Yep, it makes me feel really confident that I've spent my money well and I know that it's on its way, and it just takes away all of that fear that I might have made a mistake. And so I'm more likely to buy from a site that does that again.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that, going back to that website where I purchased from them and had a bit of a heart attack, I really did relax when I started getting these product delivery updates.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we're just going to move into our Q&A section now. So I've got a couple of questions here. Please feel free to send them through the module, the Q&A module, and we'll answer as many of those as we can. So the first question I've got is, how critical is a responsive design when it comes to website success?
No, it's really, really critical. I think the stat is something like 84% of the time people check you out on a mobile device. I may have that slightly wrong, but I think it is quite high. And as a result, we need to make sure that all those elements that I mentioned actually are aligning in the right way, especially for a mobile phone. A lot of the time when someone's on a phone, they'll just simply want to call. They want to find a phone number and call. So if they're landing on your homepage, having, as you've said in previous webinars, Jared, having your phone number in the header will then align so that they can hit that button and make a phone call to you. So yeah, responsive design, the elements in the right places so they lay out for a mobile device is vitally important.
Absolutely. And those call to actions that you've talked about, the mobile phone numbers, as it switches down into mobile view, they become even more important because you've got less space, and so it's really important those critical call to actions are in the right place. Because otherwise people have to scroll a really long way to find them, right?
That's right. And also a top line nav that actually works on mobile. Having a massive navigation that fills the entire sort of screen when someone first lands probably isn't the best format for that. It needs to really be more of a hamburger menu.
Yeah, so it's got an old way of handling menus on mobile, isn't it?
It is,
Cool. Okay, so I've got another question here. So if my site does not meet this overall standard, what are my options?
Yeah, well, that depends on to what extent it doesn't meet the standard. It could be that it needs a bit of a refresh. In some cases, if it's getting to the point where it's quite bad, then it's easier sometimes just to start again. And we can start again on potentially on the same technology if that's not outdated. And so it really depends on where that's at. And what I would suggest that person does really is book us in for one of our free digital strategy sessions, so that we can really assess for them what the shortfalls are, what the improvements are to be made, and potentially what are the gains for them.
Yeah, that's really good. So I've got a question here from Erin. Does blogging help? Right, it's a good question.
Actually. Yeah. No, blogging does help in terms of many things, because blogging is a way of providing really good information, especially if you can get people into receiving your blog, obviously on a regular basis. It helps them with providing support, information, news. It creates more of a community, but also it helps in terms of your SEO or search engine optimization, because you're getting fresh content on the website that is indexed by Google. It appears in search results. And if you have a really good blog it's attracted a lot of interest, one thing that people should really think about doing is running an ad group to actually advertise that content. If you've created really good engaging content and people are all over it, promote that content, drive more sales to your site, provide that thought leadership so that people can actually see that you're a business that you mean business, and you've got the information, the smarts that leaves your competitors in the dust. So blogging is really vital if you have that type of service that supports it.
Excellent. And so I suppose a little bit more on that topic as well is that it can have a lot of pre-sale information that kind of answers questions in more detail that people might like to know before they buy. I suppose that helps, right? And so getting people through that buying process, giving them all the information that they need. Right. I've got another question here that's just come through. I think that's possibly the last one that we'll have for today. And it's just, how much information should I have on my About Us page? It's a good question. You touched on that earlier, but so what should we have there as a minimum, do you think?
Enough to establish trust and credibility, I think, is really the answer to that. But you've got a lot of opportunity here to really drive some engagement. People do business with people that they trust, and so the About Us page is really your opportunity to showcase yourself, showcase your talent, your professionalism, your knowledge base. Obviously, the fact if you've been in business for a long period of time, that supports the fact that you are a reputable company. And I think stats say, they do, say that after the homepage, the About Us page is the second most visited page on a website. If you were to go to our About Us page, you'll see there's quite a lot of information, especially in the company history. And that's from many points of view. Like I say, it's a great, rich keyword area, so that can be indexed by Google. But most importantly, it tells a story and shows that we are a business who's, we mean business. So vitally important. Personally, I like to see longer 1,000-word type About Us sections, and great team bios and things like that, if appropriate.
Yeah, I'd agree on that too. I like to see some pictures of the team and people there. Like people, as you pointed out before, people buy from people. So the About Us is an opportunity to introduce the people that might be being worked through. So you might even like to expand on that with a team page as well, with individual team members. There's another way to go. Excellent. Okay, so hopefully that answers the questions. Had a really nice comment come through from Valerie as well, thanking us for the presentation. Thank you for attending, Valerie, and your kind words. So we'll just go into a bit of a wrap up now and just run through what we've talked about. So yeah, so what do we know, right? Website technology is actually quite mature now, right? It's been around for a while. Been buying off e-commerce sites for quite some time. So the things that you need to implement to make websites work have actually been established quite well and proven to be successful over time. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel here. That's kind of one of the things I think the theme of today is that there are some common elements with websites that are really successful. And so the opportunity is every website can improve. I can honestly say I've never looked at a website and not been able to find one thing that could be done to improve the performance of that website, our own included, right? We're constantly making tweaks and trying to improve it, but it all aligns to some pretty simple things that we can do. All right. And so often those changes are pretty simple. My prediction, or our prediction, is that businesses that continue to evolve their websites rather than waiting for ages and making big amounts of changes, those that just make those little changes over time will perform the best because they're constantly tweaking and improving the performance of their website. So our recommendation really is to just do one thing to improve the way that your website works this week. And it can be really small. And then maybe just do another one next week. And so that iterative change process is really powerful. And you'll find that after a couple of months, you've essentially done a huge amount and your website will be performing a heck of a lot better. So that's our recommendation to you. Hopefully you got some value out of this session. Now, we have, as a company, Zeal, we've been helping businesses with their digital transformation for 20 years. So we've seen a lot of websites, and this information we've provided today is based on that understanding. We're also really excited to be part of the Regional Business Partner Program. This program is providing real support for Kiwi businesses at the moment, and you could qualify for up to $5,000 to support your digital transformation process and be making the most out of your online experience. If you'd like to know a little bit more about this, you can meet with one of our digital strategists who can give you some more detail about this program and how you might like to apply, or if you qualify. Reply to the email that we'll be sending out later on today with some feedback and a copy of the video as well. Just reply to that saying that you'd like to meet with someone, and we'll arrange that for you. Zeal is also continuing with our Get E-commerce movement. We are open for applications for this program. Go to zeal.com and you could apply for a free e-commerce website setup. The offer also comes with 12 months zero rated hosting, with the only charge being a 2% success fee. Essentially, it's a no risk or no success, no fee arrangement. And this is an example that we've got on screen of one of our successful gem customers who got this site provided on those terms. And it's doing really well for her at Robin's Cottage, and she really enjoyed the process as well. So we have solutions available for retail businesses at this stage, food and beverage. We've got options for charities as well, which doesn't include a success fee there because the donations there go straight through to the charity. And we have also just released a services business template as well for tradespeople and all sorts of businesses that need lead generation as well. So go and check it out at zeal.com and look for the Get E-commerce movement or GEM initiative to find out more and potentially apply. So our next webinar is next week. We do them every week, Wednesdays at 2 o'clock. Feel free to join us. The next one's really exciting, actually. 5 simple ways that you can stay ahead of your competitors online. I'm looking forward to that one. Register at Zeal. It is. Register at zeal.com if you'd like to attend that in the same way that you did for today's session as well. We also have a library of all of our webinars on the Zeal website. You can look through that. We've got, I don't know how many we've got there now, but it's a lot. So covering a lot of different topics. So if you want to learn more, that resource is available for free off our website too. That is all the time that we have for today, folks. I just want to really thank Tom for his thoughts today. Excellent session. I really appreciate it. And thank you all for attending. I wish you a good day and good luck.